language, science, culture, history, art. This is Fire on the Table.
Sawadi Tukkan! Welcome to another episode of Fire on the Table. How are you, class? Are you guys doing great? Good to know that. So for today's topic is all about locating sources for academic writing. And now, let's begin. In academic writing, the originality of the ideas is important, and also the languages we use in written composition. However, it isn't preventable that we will encounter running out of ideas. So we will use Google and other search engines to look for information or text as resources. But are you aware that simply copying and pasting the work of others is called plagiarism? And did you know that plagiarism is considered a crime in our country? But what exactly is plagiarism? And what are the types of plagiarism? Plagiarism is to steal or pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own or use another's production without crediting the source, present as new, and original idea or product derived from an existing source. Here are the common types of plagiarism. First, direct plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is a word-for-word transcription of someone else's work without attribution and quotation marks. Word-for-word borrowing from an acknowledged source, whether it is intentional or not. Did you know that reusing work that you have already published or submitted for a class is called self-plagiarism? Self-plagiarism, it can involve resubmitting an entire paper, copying or paraphrasing passages from your previous work, or recycling old data. For example, it will be unacceptable to incorporate part of a research paper you wrote in high school into a paper assigned in a college course. Self-plagiarism also applies to submitting the same piece of work for assignments in different classes without previous permission from both professors. The next one is mosaic plagiarism. This type of plagiarism happens when a student borrows phrases from a source without citing or find synonyms for the author's language while maintaining the same general language, structure, and context of the original. It is also known as patchwork plagiarism, and it is intentional and dishonest. Lastly, accidental plagiarism. When a person neglects to cite their sources, or misquote their sources, or unintentionally paraphrase a source by using similar words, groups of words, and or sentence structure without attribution.
Did you know, back then, Senate President Tito Soto was heavily criticized by the netizens for copying the RH Bill speech of American blogger Sarah Pope. Even Attorney Hector Villacorta, Senator Tito Soto's attorney, admitted that they copied the work of the said blogger.
Also, did you know that by creating a video content that came from the original video, or when you're using a copyrighted music or song as your background music for a presentation, can be also considered plagiarism?
Now that you know what plagiarism is, class, do you remember any situation that involves you plagiarizing the work of others? Don't you worry, there is a way to avoid it by using citation. Citation is to give credits to the source of information or material that you have included in your work, and rest assured that they can trust your work because you got the information from a credible source. This will also avoid the occurrence of plagiarism. Now, let's move on to the three different types of citation. First, we have the author-oriented citation. In this type of citation, you just have to place the surname of the author followed by the year it was published enclosed in parentheses at the beginning of the paragraph. This type of citation gives great significance to the author. And next, let's move on to the second type of citation. We have the text-oriented citation. This type of citation is just the same as the author-oriented citation. The only difference is that in the text-oriented citation, the paragraph comes first before the surname of the author and the year of publication, both in close and parentheses. It will be easy to identify whether the citation is either author-oriented or text-oriented. You just have to locate the position of the surname of the author and the year of publication. If it is found at the beginning of the text and the surname of the author is not included inside the parentheses, it is an author-oriented citation. On the other hand, if the surname of the author and the year of publication are both enclosed in parentheses and found at the end of the statement, it is therefore a text-oriented citation. Lastly, we have another way of citation. You just simply start the first sentence of the paragraph with the phrase according to, preceded by the surname of the author and the year of publication enclosed in the parentheses.
There is another way on giving credit to the work of others to avoid plagiarism. Here are the other ways on how to avoid plagiarism. The first step is to check your sources and give credit to the original author. There are numerous citation styles, each with its own set of citation rules. Some of the most popular are APA, or also known as American Psychological Association, MLA, known as Modern Language Association, and the Chicago style. The following step is to paraphrase or quote from your sources, and you can also include your ideas. There are 5 steps to developing your ideas. The first step is to read the passage. Then, take notes on the key concepts. Write your version, compare paraphrase text to the original, and finally cite the sources. The final step in avoiding plagiarism is to use an online plagiarism checker. Before you submitting your paper, you can use plagiarism checker yourself. This allows you to identify any sections where you forgot to cite something, overlook quotation marks, or included a paraphrase that is too close to the original text. Then you can easily correct any instances of possible plagiarism by following the steps we mentioned. That's all! We hope you learned something.